Alright there, my name is Ragtag and I am Scotland's answer to John Wick. But today we're going to put away our guns and bid you welcome to the Continental Hotel in Dubai. I'd like you to meet Alfred, and we're going to give this hotel employee the worst day of their life thanks to a disgruntled billionaire who has redirected our current assassination contract to instead make Alfred's life a living nightmare. The client's instructions are to, and I quote, tenderize the meat. Apparently our target has a habit of being rude to guests. First we need to confirm that this actually is the intended target. All we need to do is stand right next to them and see what they say.
Oof, jeez, what, you want a kiss?
As tempting as this offer was, it was time to get to work. After taking Alfred's clothes and hiding in a nearby room with some whiny coward, it was time to watch and wait. Sure enough, along came a guard to wake Alfie from his slumber and get him back on his feet. Of course, little did he realise that this was going to be the longest shift of his career, and better than that, his change of clothes were waiting for him in his locker, which just so happened to be the room that I was lingering in. But then, there was another witness, and this complicated things. With this being the second time that the guard picked up Alfred, doubt was beginning to fill the security personnel's mind. Perhaps Alfie was making this whole thing up.
What does he look like?
I'm not sure, sorry.
Stop titting about.
In my haste to change disguises, I grabbed the first thing on the clothes rack, which turned out to be a high-altitude jumpsuit, so I opted to roll with it. Besides, Alfred has a fresh change of clothes for me. For his next rude awakening, I decided it might be fun for him to be hanging off the edge of an elevator shaft. Nothing like the fear of a 300-foot drop to wake you up in the morning, but we'd have to get the positioning exactly right. Just enough to put the fear in him so that tomorrow he... No! Okay, pretend that never happened. So we waited for the guard to return to his post, but instead he activated his sixth sense and it looked as if the game was up. That is until our enemy realised that they were holding an imaginary weapon. Meaning that it was time for a shot to their kidneys, a quick overhand right, delayed impact from the kidney bash, and then a quick love tap to seal the deal. All in all, giving us a new disguise, at which point Alfred decided that he wasn't sticking around any longer and bolted upstairs. Now this caused us somewhat of a problem, as getting caught chasing after a waiter fleeing for their life in nothing more than their Minnie Mouse shorts could draw unwanted attention. But as a fully fledged member of the Dubai Continental Hotel Security Force, I felt confident that we could catch up with our prey, and as he scurried into the back, no one dared question a guard investigating the situation, and investigate we did. Turns out we discovered a shattered spleen and a herniated disc.
I hope that is your really drunk friend you're dragging around.
Oh yeah mate, he's had far too many. He's lost a few brain cells, if you know what I mean. So we played a little game of peekaboo, and as the guards roused Alfred from his snoozy slumber, Scotland's finest crept out of the laundry basket to do what he does best. It had been a busy morning, so we decided to pause for lunch. I asked Alfred what he wanted to eat, but unfortunately...
Okay, let's imagine an invisible barrier between me and you that extends...
How's that for deadpan delivery? Anyway, we took Alfie's indifference as license to use our creativity. After all, we are the greatest concussion chef in the known world, and with that in mind, I opted to bake our target a muffin. Not just any muffin, a fluffy double blueberry with creamy milk chocolate sprinklings lying on a bed of reinforced concrete. The accent felt right, I don't know what else to tell you, but with lunch now complete, it was time for Alfred's afternoon nap. However, for us to be able to truly mess with his sense of reality upon awakening, we'd have to change location to make sure he felt like we were raising the stakes. But this was going to be more difficult than I thought, because apparently, it is frowned upon to drag an unconscious hotel employee across the floor. But we weren't about to let a rent-a-cop ruin this important mission, and fortunately for him, this was a non-lethal contract, at least for now it is. As I flipped Alfred over to see how badly he was needing a neurologist, the game looked as if it was about to be up, because every guard in the building seemed to be aware of my presence, and now it seemed only a matter of time before we'd be forced into John Wick mode. In the spirit of the contract though, we opted to wait until the last possible moment before resorting to becoming the monster we were born to be.
Get out here, now. I won't hurt you.
I need you to keep your head down if you want to stay alive.
"Oh, thank God you're here. Please don't let the bad man hurt me," I said in my Oscar-winning performance voice, copied perfectly from all the victims that I previously carved in. Oh wait, that's another story. Watching Alfred stagger to his feet brought me a sigh of relief, as I was beginning to suspect we had caused some intracranial hypertension from that concrete muffin. But seeing him make sprightly strides towards the nearest uniform locker warmed my heart. So we dialed it down a bit as we gently cracked his fibula and gave Alfie a clap on his right ear. Next up, I decided to let the sliding steel door give him a maternal hug. The squeezing kind that will definitely wake you up the next morning, but sadly, someone appeared to have changed the combination lock on the door. In hindsight, this was probably for the best, but don't you worry, Alfie boy, your time will come. Oh yes, your time will come. I know. How about a joke to lighten the mood? What's hairy on the outside, wet on the inside, starts with a C, ends with a T, and has the letters U and N in the middle? That's right, a coconut! At this point in the afternoon, I was unsure if Alfred was really listening to the problems that he'd been presenting the guests at the Continental Hotel, so I decided to give him an experience to serve on a metaphorical plate, and the best way to do that was to strategically place him right there. Okay, Alfred, this is a public announcement, and I hope you're listening because this concerns you. If you're rude to people before they go up the stairs, what will come back down to you will be the consequence. That looked pretty heavy-handed. Yeah, he definitely survived that one. Moving on. You know, people have always told me I'm about as blunt as a spade. I know, what a daring move, right out in the open, but we claimed the prize right there of most impressive knockout so far. And at this point you might even be asking, hey Ragtag, what did it cost? Well, everyone. And no, I'm not going to show you how I did it. It's an artist's right to withhold the secret techniques. Oh, fine, I'll show you. I decided to have a drink with a friend while waiting for Alfred to get himself sorted out, but it turned out that if you make a cocktail and then call it rat poison, it really is at the consumer's own risk. Anyway, it was time for a change of clothes. There's nothing like a fancy frilly chef's hat to add style and allow me to move inconspicuously around the Continental Hotel, and let me tell you, we have got quite the journey ahead of us, don't we, Alfred? And yep, mind your head, pal. And also please don't ask about the bodies. I had absolutely nothing to do with any of that. There was like a fast-acting airborne pathogen that just swept through the hotel, and that's what happened, Your Honor. Alfred would be accompanying me all the way to the top of the building so we could make our escape, but it turned out that my greatest challenge was still ahead of me. Getting our learner of lessons to have a safe but painful drop without being eliminated would require some, well, let's say, maneuvering. But then the element of stealth was once more in danger as a guard entered the room, adding to an ever-growing pile of body bags that was definitely not my fault. We employed the stealth technique of Drax the Destroyer by staying perfectly still, and to my surprise, pulled it off perfectly. A boost of endorphins raced through my system at this victory, and with my newfound confidence, we got Alfred into the perfect position for a short drop. Now look, I'm telling you guys, he's alive. That swirly concussion circle proves it, so shut your mouths. Finally, it was time to escape via the helicopter, as Alfred was invited to dinner by the client, a date that we mustn't be late for. Oh no, yep, we can bring this back. Don't give up on... never mind. Amazingly, the fall didn't kill Alfred, but I did wonder if a wheelchair was in his future at this point. I called the client and said the target may not be fit for an apology meal with humble pie dessert after all, but I did feel that Alfie had definitely learnt his lesson by this point. The client agreed, and into the horizon we soared. The mission was a success in the truest sense of the word. A few months later, I decided to drop in on Alfred to see if his manners had actually improved.
Looking very well today, sir.
Good boy, Alfie.
Hey,
Good.
don't throw-